Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a review of The Bachelorette, episode 6. The Red Wedding of Bachelorette episodes. There's like 5 dudes who all left in this 2 hours.
Who wants a Saturday morning balloon party? Did you know that that's called a thing? Because I certainly didn't until this episode.
I don't think I've had
Saturday morning balloon party.
I don't know if I've had a balloon party on like any morning or day of the week. I think you just have a party and there sometimes happen to be balloons there.
I feel that Matt does not know what a Saturday morning balloon party is.
Okay, you know what? I just now learned. Okay,
Listen, until this episode, I also didn't know that was a euphemism for anything. Until this episode. Saturday morning balloon party?
I just blocked it out,
Listen,
honestly.
I understood some of the other ones. I was like, ha, 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 ha. And then it was that one, and I was like, what?
See,
I am 46 years old. I have never heard this term before in my life.
Here's what I will say. I know what producers were doing with that sprinkler where they had it sort of shoot up out of there. It's like, really, guys? Come on. I may be naive enough to not know about a Saturday morning balloon party, apparently.
Me as well.
This is a show owned by Disney, by the way. I feel like this is an appropriate time to bring that back up.
Yeah. Maybe that's why Saturday morning balloon party made it sound a little more Disney. No, none of this is working.
No. Okay, well, you know what is working? The rest of this video that we are going to get to. So why not hit that subscribe button? We will be here every week to talk about all of the craziness of this show. There may be actual legitimate romance left coming up now.
Yeah, every Monday night we will have a review up after the show. We're also going to be doing Bachelor in Paradise this summer. We just did Animal Kingdom yesterday. Yep. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. American Horror Stories, that's kicking off this week too.
How much do we have to say about Operation Whoa? Because I'm hoping it's very, very little.
All I have to say is this is The Bachelorette. Yeah. This is not too hot to handle. The thing about it is like that is definitely a thing over on Too Hot to Handle, which I just started watching a couple days ago, and I am completely addicted to. And I didn't realize how interesting that show was until I was like, you know what? I'll watch it as a laugh. I'm probably going to hate it. And here I am. A couple days later, I've watched the whole thing.
Oh, what? I'm getting a call from the new producer for The Bachelorette.
Ding!
Hello, members of The Bachelorette. It is me, Lana.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's I can barely even formulate any of the words, but that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, if you haven't watched Too Hot to Handle, that is a rule over there that you cannot have a Saturday morning balloon party over there the whole time you're there. But Bachelorette, they have a whole episode that is fantasy suites, which is like the biggest balloon party there is. You can't take away something like that. It just felt like it wasn't actually going anywhere. I didn't really understand why she was like, let's do this, except to be like, oh, won't this be funny? And it just kind of wasn't. It just went into a really strange place. I just didn't get it.
All I can think about now are balloon parties and that guy from that TLC show that we watched that video on that one time that had a thing for balloons in my mind.
Oh, yeah, we were watching Beauty Pie and Ken, and they were talking about this guy who had, like, literal balloon parties. He lived in a room with a bunch of balloons and had kicked his wife out to sleep with his balloons. It was something.
If we have to know about it, so do you guys, apparently. That is the real lesson of this video.
Okay, I also want to talk about Hunter, because I feel like Hunter is not only getting really dirty by the show in general, but also by the other people on the show.
Okay.
So, one of the things that he brought up in this episode, or other people brought up, that he's a super fan. And I was just kind of like, so?
It's so weird.
So what? Who cares? He enjoys the show. He likes the show. Now he's on the show. And that doesn't actually mean that he's not there for love, or he's not there to be part of the process. And you can be a fan of something and still enjoy being part of the process. It's like saying you're a fan of Big Brother and then you go on the show and somehow that makes you less than everyone else because you really enjoy the show. Like, I thought that was really ridiculous.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It's like, I'm not the biggest Hunter fan, but at the same time, I understand a little bit of where he's coming from with some of his defenses and how some of the other guys are treating him. Because let's just put it this way. Maybe because Hunter has watched The Bachelor and The Bachelorette so much over the years, he's kind of coming into this with the mindset of, okay, I know I'm only going to get so much time. Mm-hmm. I know I have to make the most of every moment. Yep. And so maybe he does internally in his head sort of plan out, okay, this is what I want to do at this moment. This is what I want to do at that moment. And I mean, as long as you're not doing it as like a means to some like deceitful or terrible end where you're intentionally like misleading this person as to how you're feeling, I don't think there's anything wrong with just planning out specific things that you want to do because you want to make sure you're taking your relationship to the next level. Maybe it comes across as inauthentic, maybe that does hurt you, but I don't think the intention is bad.
Here's the thing is I think the show really needed a villain, and Hunter isn't it. Like, there's nothing that's unlikable about him, and they really were trying to make it, oh, he's really aggressive in this game last week. Yeah. Okay, well, Katie was like, good job, so, you know, is that bad then? No, the lead is telling you it's A-okay, so here we are. Oh, he's a super fan. Yeah. Oh my God. No, okay, that is fine too. That doesn't actually... Being a super fan doesn't mean that you can't be there for love. They are not connected in any way. Then we had this challenge where it seemed like, they were there with these drag queens and they were, putting together these roasts and speeches and stuff like that. And he was asked behind stage, it seems like, if he was in love with Katie or falling in love with Katie. And he kind of was like, Yeah. And then when he was out on stage, he was like, no, I'm falling in love with you. And then Trey was like, oh, deceitful. And I was kind of like, no, maybe Hunter doesn't want to have his first time that he says that he's falling in love with Katie to be to strangers or to be to you guys. Like, maybe he wanted his moment to be to Katie because that's the way it should be, right? I don't know. I just think that they were really, really, really trying to make Hunter a problem when he just actually wasn't.
This is some of the thing with this, is that first of all, I find it incredibly hilarious that the Bachelorette is like saying, how dare you like and enjoy our own show? It's like, do you not want your guys to watch the Bachelorette before they go on it? But okay, that aside, the whole situation with Trey and him not saying that he's falling in love with her backstage, it's complicated. Because if I'm Trey or if I'm one of the other guys, I would probably be bothered by the fact that he says something different on stage than what he said backstage. But if you're Hunter, like you sort of said, maybe you don't want that moment backstage to be like the first time you say, I'm falling for you. I get that. And I think this may just be where Hunter is sort of a victim of circumstance, and because he broke the Bachelorette bro code last week and took up all the time, that they were all already sort of gunning for them, so they were looking for a reason to go after him, and he gave them a reason.
This season has been the biggest pile-on I've ever seen. Like, we've seen people go to the lead before and be like, hey, so-and-so's a problem. Okay. Once. Maybe twice. This is like the fourth or fifth time all season long. Even when Trey left today and he was kind of like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. You have said something multiple weeks in a row now that has cost everybody, including yourself, time. And I say this as someone who was a fan of Trey. He really was his own worst enemy in this. And so was Aaron, who also went home for the same thing. Even at the end, he was like, if I go home because of Hunter, it's Hunter's fault. I'm like, how is this Hunter's fault? He's done nothing to you. You've done this to yourself. I know I'm here like defending Hunter here, but he didn't do anything. And Aaron, he got in front of himself all the time, piling on. Trey, it's been fallen to that as well. It was just she needed to cut these guys out. I'm sorry, guys, but if you're just going to be there to talk about other guys and get other guys out this way, but not because you're making a connection, then you need to go.
I think she made the right decision. She made the right choice sending Trey out. She made the right choice sending Aaron out. She made the right choice sending Hunter out. And I say that mostly in just that I didn't see enough of like a fully, truly super romantic connection between the two of them. But I think the fact that some of the guys were willing to stand up for Hunter at that group date and even sort of afterwards and say, oh, I do believe Hunter. I believe that he is there for Katie. That makes me feel like, this is not Thomas 2.0. This is not one of those sort of situations. This just wasn't the right person for him in the end, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's why it was starting to irritate me when people, and I think it was Trey, was just like, oh, he's saying one thing here, he's saying another thing here, he's lying. And it doesn't actually mean that he's lying. It could mean he was, cornered into a situation where he didn't want to say that he loved her before he was ready, or to her, or to someone else, to some strangers. I mean, he may have just been in a really weird situation where you've got strangers being like, so you in love with her? And be like, I don't know you, and I haven't said it to her. So, like, how do I get out of this without making it look like I'm not falling in love? It just seems more complicated than it is. And I wish that there was kind of just actual like footage of behind the scenes to give us more context on what is happening. And I'm sure they had it, and they just didn't show it to us so they could try to make him a villain. But you failed, Bachelorette. He's not.
Here's, I guess, my whole thinking on this is that, like, if Katie comes out tomorrow, and she's been really good at sort of talking about stuff behind the scenes, if she comes out tomorrow and is continuing to be positive towards Hunter, then I'll think, okay, you know what? The edit did Hunter dirty. He's not that bad a guy or whatever. Because, I think if he was a total tool or a jerk on the show, she'll post it online. I don't think she's going to have any problem doing that.
Now, here's the other thing. She canceled the cocktail party again, but she clearly did need more time with the guys. And I'm kind of surprised that she canceled it and then was like, oh, wait a second, I'm just going to go talk to Hunter. It's just like, that is what the cocktail party is for. Like, to spend time talking to the guys, to getting those confirmations that you need to get. Like, stop canceling these parties and just figure it out.
I'm going to bust out the tinfoil hat here for a second. I think I know. I have a feeling as to what's going on here.
She didn't want to kiss any more guys she wasn't interested in?
That may be part of it. The other part of it, I think, is just that I think production wants at least like a couple of times a season where they have the dramatic, I'm canceling the cocktail party.
It's been too many times this season. Like, it just feels like I'm watching the same episode over and over again where a bunch of guys pile on one guy and kick him out, and then the cocktail party gets canceled. Like, every episode.
I feel like, speaking of guys she does not want to kiss, we have to talk about
Connor.
Connor.
Listen.
We knew this was coming.
That first kiss, even when he was all dressed up like a cat, it wasn't good. It was a very weird kiss. And then she kissed him again later, and he did the same thing, which was like grab her whole head like this. Like, it was just so awkward to even watch. And I was just like, oh, this doesn't look like this would be that great to be involved in. This kiss seems bad. And maybe it wasn't bad, and it was what she was saying where she was just like, listen, the chemistry just wasn't there. It happens, right? But watching it, it felt very awkward, like he was forcing it to be more romantic and more intense than it really was by grabbing her head. So, I don't know. When I saw that, first she was like, oh, it's going to be a double date. I'm like, oh no, she has to bring other people on this date? That's not good. And then she was like, oh, and it's all about the kiss. I'm like, bad kisser.
Yeah, that was the concern.
You can't get by that. Bad kiss is the death of a potential relationship. If that kiss is bad, you gotta kiss that person forever.
It's also just really hard, I think, if you're a guy who you maybe spent a collective 2 hours with her, then you're having to go on this date with two people who have been together for a substantial amount of time, and there's gonna be that inevitable comparison. It's that's a lot of pressure. The moment, and they did this before like that date even started, they had like him packing his bag and they had that suitcase just, I knew he was gone that moment. Like, you guys never show us the suitcase beforehand to this extent.
No, I knew he was gone from a couple episodes ago when it was like no costume and they were kissing and you could tell that her head was trying to pull back a little bit, but he was holding on to it so hard that it just wasn't good. And I was just kind of like, even if there was some chemistry there, that was it. Bad kiss is bad.
I have a feeling that Connor has probably watched this footage at this point and is probably
I feel
somewhere.
bad for Connor.
Probably just like, oh no, I've been doing this whole kissing thing wrong this whole time. Nobody ever told him.
Yeah, I mean, even that moment when he was in his sort of confessional being like, am I that bad a kisser? I don't know. I don't know if that is actually it. That is just my opinion from watching it from the outside. It felt a little awkward. Maybe don't grab somebody's head so much.
Yeah.
That could be it. Or maybe it really just, there wasn't the chemistry there. But once I saw that it was like this double date, I was kind of like, that it immediately sucks the romance out of it because there's other people there. You can't really steal away those kisses or moments or whatever. And then you even have these moments where it's like, oh, the guys are by the grill and the girls are off. It's like, okay, well, you're not connecting with Katie because she's over there with Caitlin being like, I don't want to go back because I have to kiss him. No, she didn't say that. I'm just kidding. It's just a joke. Connor, I'm sorry.
Maybe it was in the back of her head, though. No, I don't know. I'm just kidding, too. Okay, well, before we get to Justin, I have a couple of Blake-related thoughts here.
Let's have it.
Number one, there was that whole thing where Katie's like, thank you for introducing me to Blake, Tayshia. Mm-hmm. You guys were DMing before the show. She didn't introduce you to anything, number one.
This show is really bad at stuff like that. Yeah. They don't pick a lane, like, at all. They did this last season as well, where they were like, oh, there's the health crisis. Everybody's being really careful. Let's show all the quarantine. Let's show all this. And then they had Heather just roll up in her van like she hadn't already been, in quarantine for all this time, being like, hey, guys, I'm here. I was just kind of like, okay, guys, pick a lane. Either you're doing it or you're not. You can't be both.
Also, Blake, pick a lane. If you're going to be John Cusack from Say Anything, you have to play Peter Gabriel. What was that song choice? How dare you, Blake?
Listen, I feel like getting the rights to Peter Gabriel is probably very expensive.
Listen, he's got a connection to Disney. He did the song at the end of WALL-E. He can make this happen. Maybe. Okay, I understand the Bachelorette's a limited production. Okay.
Blake is still winning this show. I still feel very confident with that. I mean, their chemistry is like on another level, man. This is a thing. And we've seen it on this show before that physical chemistry really overrides a lot on this show. Like we saw that with Jacob Vienna as well. This is a long time ago. If you guys remember that season, it was sort of the same. Their chemistry was crazy. I know they're not together anymore, but and everyone was coming to him, oh, Vienna's a problem, she's a problem. But like their chemistry was just too much to deny. And it is here as well.
Yeah, I think the fact that they showed them like making out in like 6 different places in like, I don't know, 30 seconds is kind of like, okay, all right, we get it. You guys are into each other.
We get it.
Justin impressed me in this date. Like, he has been a little bit under the radar, but I thought he was well spoken. I thought he said a lot of the right things. I don't know, I guess I don't know a lot more about him, but it was still, I thought, as good of a date as one's going to be, given everything that we learned about Katie through a lot of this, which was pretty tough on her, and just the weirdness of the idea of the date in general.
I don't like this date, but I like Justin. That's sort of where I came with it. We've seen these types of dates before where it's like, oh, finally, someone's getting a one-on-one, and then it's this wedding date where it's kind of like they haven't had enough time to really get to know each other, make any kinds of connections outside of the 5 minutes they get at a cocktail party if she doesn't cancel it.
Yeah.
So Justin has barely had any time, and now their first date is this. And I've never really liked the wedding date because it's a lot of pressure right away. 2, it also takes away kind of some of the magic that if you actually end up marrying this person or you get to the engagement stage. It's like, well, you guys already played pretend married. So it just kind of, I don't know. For me, it pulls away from the special day that they could have by having this pretend vows, pretend marriage, getting dressed up, and there's just so much pressure behind something like that, and it's very difficult to get to know somebody when you're in a wedding dress pretending to get married. Like, it just feels so not genuine that it bothered me, because Justin's nice.
Yeah.
Like, I like him, and I really was hoping to kind of see more of a connection.
I just feel like one of the biggest problems with this whole thing is just it's been done so many times on this show that whenever I see it, I just sort of feel like, okay, are you guys running out of ideas or whatever? I know you're kind of locked down in a very specific location here.
I get it, but they've come up with some really fun, creative dates like they did with Andrew S. With the whole balloons and the smashing of the hearts and all the questions and the fun. Like, it was super fun. Like, why not come up with more? Like, stop going back to this wedding dress up vow date. I hate it every time.
I have a really bad joke.
Or else have it.
Would you say that Andrew S. had a Saturday night balloon party with that date?
Oh, full circle.
Okay, yeah, we had to bring it
We're back.
all back to where we started. And with that, what better way to close this off? I learned an entirely new euphemism for the course of this video because that comment on the show went in one ear and right out the other. But
I couldn't stop thinking about it. This is so weird.
let us know what you thought about that on the show. Who are you rooting for at this point? And subscribe to the channel. We will be here to document all future Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise magic. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you here next time.